Nigerian gas flare commercialization program towards ending gas flaring by 2020. Motion is sponsored by me and co-sponsored by 27 other senators. The Senate notes that gas flaring is the burning of natural gas that is associated with the extraction of crude oil. And according to data obtained from the World Bank Global Gas Flaring Reduction Partnership 2018, Nigeria is the 6th largest gas flaring country globally and the 2nd largest in Africa after Algeria. The Senate also notes that there has been long outstanding laws against flaring of associated natural gas in Nigeria, which actions has indeed been illegal since 1984. Though most of the laws are subjective, Section 3(1) of the Associated Gas Rejection Act, Cap A25 LFN 2004, states that no company engaged in the production of oil and gas shall, after 1st of January 1984, flare gas produced in association with or without the permission in writing of the minister. The Senate is concerned about the huge revenue loss due to the unrelenting gas flares in the country. Flaring of associated natural gas is quite simply burning money. In 2018 alone, according to data obtained from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company (NPC), oil and gas firms operating in the country flared a total of 215.9 billion standard cubic feet of natural gas, amounting to a loss of revenue of over 197 billion naira. Nigeria has the largest natural gas reserve in Africa and the ninth largest in the world. Nigerian gas reserves are about 3 times the value of the crude oil reserves, with a value of around 202 trillion cubic feet of proven natural gas reserves. But despite having this largest gas reserve in Africa, only about 25% of these reserves are being produced or are under development today. The Senate is also concerned that the Niger Delta region of Nigeria gas flare has been wreaking havoc across communities since the early 60s. Gas flaring results in the release of methane, which is accompanied by other greenhouse gases and accounts for about 50% of all industrial emissions in the country and 30% of the carbon dioxide emissions, which are harmful to the economy and the environment. The failure of the government to enforce laws against gas flare has exposed people living around nearby flare sites to various respiratory disorders, harmed the environment through air pollution, destroyed farmland, damaged crops, and cost the country trillions of naira in revenue. The Senate is aware that the natural gas is a fossil nature resource. Natural gas is a versatile, clean-burning, and efficient hydrocarbon that is used in a wide variety of applications. When harnessed properly, natural gas can be used as a source of energy for heating, cooking, electricity generation, fuel for vehicles, and as a chemical feedstock in the manufacture of commercially important organic chemicals. The Senate is also aware that gas flaring contributes to climate change, which has serious implications to both Nigeria and the rest of the world. The burning of fossil fuel, mainly coal, oil, and gas, produce greenhouse gases, which results lead to warming the environment, to global warming. The world is projected to get worse, particularly by developing countries. Acid rain has also been linked to the activities of gas flaring. The effect of this on the environment, farmlands, and human is worrisome. Corrugated roofs in the Niger Delta region where gas is flared has been corroded by the composition of the rain that falls as a result of flaring. Acid rains also acidified lakes, streams, damaged vegetations. In most cases, There is no vegetation in the area surrounding the flare due partly to the tremendous heat that is produced and the acidic nature of the soil. This results in crops having stunted growth, scorched plants, and withered young crops. The health implications on human includes neurological, reproductive, and developmental effects, leading to increased cases of deformities in children, lung damages, skin problems, and cancer. The Senate further notes that natural gas as an alternative to crude oil has so many recompenses. Natural gas is the cleanest burning fossil fuel. It's safer and easier to store. It is extremely reliable as an energy source. It causes less damage to human and the environment. It is widely available and in abundance in Nigeria. Nigeria's current gas production stands at 253 billion cubic feet, translating to an average daily production of 8.163 million cubic feet. The Senate commends the recent gas flare commercialization program launched in 2016 by the federal government of Nigeria through the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC. The program aims to provide a commercial approach to the elimination of routine gas flare by 2020. The strategy is to achieve social, environment, economic impact in the Niger Delta region by mobilizing private sector capital towards gas flare capture projects. The Senate is worried that gas flaring has been on the rise since the Nigerian gas flare commercialization program was launched in 2016. The data gathered from the Nigerian Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration shows that from 2018, Nigeria seems to be burning more gas, or Nigerian gas seems to be burning more intense than it has ever been in the past 5 years, which evidently led to the country being ranked 6th in the list of gas flaring nations from the 7th position it had before. The Senate is worried that lack of enforcement of the law on gas flaring in previous years is thwarting the government's projected deadline of 2020 to end routine associated gas flaring. The year 2019 is coming to an end, and there seems to be a lack of commitment to enforce the law on gas flaring. So it is therefore very necessary for actions to be taken through fines, penalties, alternative technology investments to achieve the 2020 deadline. The Senate is further worried that if the Nigerian gas flare commercialization program is not implemented by 2020, Nigeria will be left behind as global trends indicate that crude oil is becoming obsolete, and there is no better time than now to intensify the efforts in natural gas production. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, this motion has been standing in the committee for a very long time before it is presented. So you can see that the first resolution is a bit outdated. So I'd like to make an amendment to the resolution 1A. By the time this motion was sent to the committee, with the House committees were not formed yet. So resolution 1A will now read, mandate the Committee on Petroleum Downstream to monitor the implementation of the Nigerian gas flare commercialization program. And the second is review the recommendation and recommend upward penalties for non-compliance in line with global best practices. The Senate will finally resolve by urging the federal government of Nigeria to intensify efforts to diversify from crude oil to natural gas production. I so move.
We talked about acid rain, and of course, one could remember or recall, I think some 1-2 years back, when there was an outcry in Port Harcourt about some black soot. People finding it difficult to even move about because as you are moving, if you walk for a very long distance, if you are putting on a white cloth, by the time you get to the end of your journey, perhaps the cloth is black. So these are all the impact as it affects the life and the quality of life, for that matter, of our citizens. And I think what she is trying to do in this motion is apt, and I want to support it fully, and I call on my colleagues to also support that. But of note, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, is the issue of the loss of revenue. And I think, given the fact that we're trying to squeeze every available revenue into the pot of the Federation to enable us actualize the very lofty, ideals that we are canvassing in this hollow chamber, this bill is commendable, and I want to urge my colleagues to support it. With respect to even the prayers, perhaps when we get there we'll look at it. But let me say that it is timely, and if it is properly followed up, there are opportunities.
You can round up to the Senate Committee on Petroleum Downstream. I think it's supposed to be gas, just like the leader said, to monitor the implementation of the Nigerian gas flare commercialization program. So, leader, you are amending that prayer. Okay. So those in favor of prayer 1 as amended, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, review and recommend upwards penalty for non-compliance in line with global best practices. Those in favor of this prayer, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. And prayer 3, urge the federal government of Nigeria to intensify efforts to diversify from crude oil to natural gas production. Those in favor of prayer 3, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President.